So I've noticed that some students in this class are using system.exit to terminate their programs in cases where something has gone wrong unexpectedly, like bad input, or even just to stop the program at a certain point if they believe that the program has already completed its task. So I'm going to ask you to completely refrain from using system.exit in your programs in this class. And now that you've had this warning, I'm going to grade a program down if I see the use of this practice in your assignments. There are a lot of reasons that I'm strongly cautioning you against using system.exit in this way. And I'm going to give you the short version. In the kinds of programs that you'll be writing for this course, it's very important for you to demonstrate good program structure. System.exit allows you to shortcut out of the middle of your program. So it prevents you from having to structure the program in a way that it can terminate naturally. When I see system.exit in your program, I can't tell whether you understand Java enough to write well-structured blocks of code with the logic that makes them work. And since developing that skill is an important learning outcome for this course, the use of system.exit both undermines your ability to learn that kind of program structure and logic, and undermines my ability to assess your learning along those lines. Okay, so that's the main educational reason that I am asking you not to use system.exit in this class. There's another educational reason, and that's because system.exit is problematic in some cases. Okay, and even though in our assignments those cases don't occur, but if in our assignments I allow you to get into the habit of using system.exit, you will be comfortable with using it before you ever know where it can be problematic. And if I allow you to get into that habit, I'm doing you a disservice. It's irresponsible of me to let you get used to something that is actually not helping your code at all, but is also getting in the way of the educational process and possibly lowers the quality of your code once you get out into the world and start programming for other people. Now, you can say, well, let me just learn those cases where system.exit is problematic, and I won't use it in those cases. It's not always in your control, the cases where system.exit is going to cause you problems. Let me give you a quick practical reason just to show you, what system.exit is doing in a programming environment. So here's a program that I wrote called Popping Out, and it's got a few if statements. And based on some user input, it does something. So for instance, it sends a message to the user. If the number the user enters is more than 20,000, it tells you that that number is far too large for this program, and then it immediately exits. If it doesn't exit at that point, if the number is divisible by 4, then it prints the number divided by 2, and then it does a system.exit. If the number is divisible by 7 after that, then it just plain does a system exit. But if it gets past all of that without exiting, then it prints out this message saying, I guess the user number is an okay number. So let me show you. I'm going to run the code here. Okay, and I'm going to enter a 3, and you see that what you get is, I guess 3 is an okay number. Now what's happening down here? Well, you see a message here that I've sent because I'm pretending that I needed to release some resource that this program is using before the program terminated. This is a case that happens in some programs. You may be familiar with the fact that computers use memory. Memory is just one of many resources that can be reserved by the operating system for your program to use. And there are cases in which whatever resources you use, be it memory, files, something else, whatever you use, might be up to your responsibility to release those resources once you're done using them before the program terminates. So if you might have a routine that releases the vital resources that your program is using before the program terminates, and if you call that at the end of your program, system.exit does not allow your program to ever get to that point, so you will never clean up the resource. Okay. So you could say at this point, well, maybe I can call release some vital resources every time, before system.exit every time I call it. Okay, well, there could be cases where you have multiple resources that you're using that have multiple routines that clean up those resources. We can get into a discussion about how some programs become very complicated and therefore difficult to keep track of certain things if you're exiting at many different points in your code. However, there's a reason that's completely beyond your control that I will ask you not to do this. And that is because when you call system.exit, and there are a few other calls that are similar in what they do, runtime.halt is one, runtime.exit also is one. These things immediately terminate the Java Virtual Machine, which we sometimes call the JVM, which effectively kills all the threads, everything else that's running in that JVM at the same time. Okay, so here's a hypothetical scenario. You write a program that does something useful. Someone sees that program is useful, and they see that it can also work together with their program. They have a completely separate program that they want to run at the same time your program is running. These two programs are going to run on a single computer, like on a server, for example. They're going to run using the same Java Virtual Machine because maybe they interact in some way, or they're both doing something for a website that is running. They're just doing something important that requires them to work together to some extent. However, they have completely separate main methods. When you call system.exit, it doesn't just terminate your program. It terminates the Java Virtual Machine, which means that any other routines, any other programs that are running in that Java Virtual Machine will be immediately halted at the same time. The person who wrote that other program has no control over you doing that. And so that could be a serious problem, especially on a server. Servers may be running many different Java programs at the same time. And if they're running in the same Java Virtual Machine and your program halts the virtual machine, all those programs will stop. So as you can see, you can't even necessarily program around the issues that come up when you use system.exit. Those issues could be out of the control of your program. They could be in someone else's program. And I'm sure that if you're thinking about this right now, if you're writing a program that is vital for a client and you do everything right, and someone else is writing a Java program that's also going to run in that same Java Virtual Machine, and they use system.exit and it halts that program and it does some kind of damage to what you're doing, you can see how that would probably annoy the heck out of you, and it could even cost you some consequences. So anyway, I hope this strong cautioning has been enough to convince you that for educational reasons and practical reasons, refrain from using system.exit, refrain from getting used to using it in your assignments in this class. And if that's not good enough, then I guess the fact that I'm going to grade you down for using it should be enough to convince you. So I hope this has been helpful. That's it.